about 10:03, so I will get started. We'll see if anybody else jumps on. Yeah, so for today's class, again, kind of similar to last week, for this particular class, I want to keep it kind of short. And this may even be something a little more DocuSign 2.0. But it's a cool feature that I wanted to at least show people so you have an idea when you get to this point, just how fast you can actually, basically create a contract. There are some classes taught by Steve Gandel and all of, some of those tech experts. And the class is literally called How to Write a Contract in 5 Minutes. And so what I want to show you today is a feature that's going to be available in DocuSign. Again, when you get to this point, that allows you to pre-fill out some templates. So for example, I know a lot of times some people will say, I hate that I get to this form in .loop and I have to type in my information every single time, my name and email and cell phone, blah, blah, blah. What you can actually do in DocuSign is you'll have access to obviously all the forms that are available in there. And if there's a particular form, which we'll walk through today, that you want to pre-fill some information on so it's available every single time, you will be able to do that. And then you'll be able to just select that form to then send off, for signature when the time comes. So today's class will be pretty short in that regard, probably about 15 or 20 minutes or so. But again, it's a good feature that I wanted to at least point out. We'll probably cover it in more detail once people are fully, into DocuSign and used to it and up and running with it. But again, this is going to be something that saves you a lot of time when you get to this point to set up some of these templates. So I wanted to be sure I taught a class that at least just covered on it, so people are aware that it's going to be something they can use, pretty soon. So it's just a couple of us. So feel free, guys, unmute yourselves, drop a note in the chat, and then let me know if you have any questions along the way, and we'll answer them. Alrighty. So for the purposes of today's class, unlike some of the other classes that we've taught, basically the idea, and I'll repeat it a million times again just to help people fully understand it, you will only have to go into command to start the transaction, to create that transaction, and then to basically kind of close that transaction. There is that whole in-between time when you're kind of dealing with your clients, working one-on-one, sending them the paperwork. You won't need to go into command for that. So this is kind of an example of a time where you would just log straight into DocuSign, go to DocuSign.com, and that would, allow you to access all your paperwork without having to go, log into command, go through that whole process. So again, for today's purposes, you're just going to go straight into DocuSign.com. When you do, it's going to take you to a home screen like this. And in the upper right-hand corner is going to be a button that says Login. And so you're just going to go ahead and log in. I've already logged in once today. So again, kind of the way DocuSign works, once you log in once, it'll keep you logged in pretty much for the rest of the day. After about 24 hours, it will have you re-sign back in. So if you're signing in for the first time today, it'll pull you up to that DocuSign screen where it'll have you put in your email and your password. And then it'll take you right to the same spot. So once you do that, you will be brought to a page that looks a little like this. The way that DocuSign is kind of set up, there are kind of two sides to it. There is this side that you're going to be automatically logged into, which is called the DocuSign e-signature side. And you also have the option to go into the DocuSign Rooms side. Having said that, almost all of your time will be spent in the DocuSign Rooms section. So although this kind of gives you a snapshot overview of some things, you're not going to spend a lot of time in this section, at least to start. So what you're going to want to do is anytime you log in, you'll see you have your if you don't have your headshot uploaded, which I can assist with later, you will see probably your initials in the upper right-hand corner. And so if you click on that, that'll kind of tell you some of your account information. So this is where if you want to update your headshot, change any of your information, you'll be able to click on Manage Profile. Again, I'm not gonna, I'll cover that in a future class as well. But if you do want to change anything in the meantime, you can go there. And you'll also have some other drop downs as well, such as your preferences. So that will kind of allow you to change if you receive daily emails or alerts when your clients have signed something. You can actually set those preferences there. Of course, you can always log out. And the one that you're going to use most often is to toggle between this e-signature page and the rooms page. So if you're logging in, just like we did, click your headshot, and we're going to go ahead and click switch to rooms. And so what that's going to do is that's going to take you into this page, which for those of you who watched some of the other classes, you know, when we've created those examples in Command, we've created those transactions, those opportunities, typically it'll take you to a page that looks a bit like this. So when you click over into rooms, it dropped us right in our dashboard, which again is just kind of, you know, an overview of the different rooms you have, the different things that have been signed, all of that. What you spend most of your time in is rooms, which is right here. So I'll just click over to that so you can kind of get comfortable. And this will show you all of the different rooms that you have created. So again, much like .loop, where you have templates, or sorry, loops, in this case for DocuSign, you have rooms. So these are all of your different transactions, whether you're working with, whether it's a listing or you're working with a buyer or a tenant, anything like that, it'll have that information populated here. So purposes of today, now that we are here at this screen, again, I want to show you how you can set up a template that you can use each and every time. So again, template is typically going to be a document, and it can be anything. It can be a document that you upload. It can be a document that's already in existence. Let's say it's something as simple as a contract that you just want to have your contact information on. It works the same way. And so in order to do that, now that I've kind of gone over all of that, here are the steps in order to be able to do that. When you are in DocuSign Rooms, which is where we are right now, as you see, you'll see there are a couple options here at the top. One of those is called My Docs. And so that's where we're going to click over into today. Once you click into My Docs, you're going to see that it gives you a couple little options here. There's personal, there's forms, and there's form templates. So personal, again, are any documents that you just upload manually. Forms, again, is going to be the section where all of the forms live. So all of those different groups where you access, you know, all of the appropriate paperwork, that's more or less what lives in forms. Today, we're going to work mainly in form templates, which is what I'm going to click over into now. So you're going to see I have a couple examples in here already, but let's go ahead and create one from scratch. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the right-hand corner and we're going to click Create Form Template. So in that case, actually, let me do this a bit differently. Hold on one second. Click back into. Let's actually do it from personal. I apologize for that. Let's actually do it from personal. You can do it both ways, but again, I think this is going to probably be the easier way for some folks. So in that case, please disregard that. Please stick with just personal. When you get into personal, you're going to see you can either create a folder, which is what I've done here. I've created just a couple folders, or there is another button that allows you to add a document. And so in this case, sorry everyone, I just want to see something here. I'm just gonna kind of want to do it the easiest way. Okay. So in that case, personal, sorry, so here's the way to kind of think about it. In the personal room, that's where you would go to set up a template with a personal document. So if it's something you have saved on your computer, if it's not a form from the MLS or anything like that, I think even in here, I uploaded just a general industry fees form. That would be something that either you create or you have saved on your computer. which I think less folks are going to want to set up templates for. So in this case, we would be using form templates. So form templates is where all of the documents live, such as the contract, the lead paint disclosure, any of those forms that we've already uploaded into DocuSign for our office. So in this case, let's create a form template using one of the forms that's already available. So in the upper right-hand corner, if I click Create a Form Template, it's going to then allow you to select where you want to pull that form from. So you can either do it from a library or a group. I would recommend group, just because we have all of the appropriate documents already set up in those groups. So when you do, it'll then allow you to select that group. And from there, you'll see that these are all of the different groups that we have created. So all of these are separated with the paperwork that you would need for that particular group. So whether it's a buyer document, whether it's a GSMLS listing document, a CJMLS listing document, a tenant document, whatever the case may be. So for the purposes of today, let's go ahead and we'll do a listing document. Let's say it's something related to a listing that you want to always have that information filled out. We're going to go ahead and click on, GSML. I'll do GSMLS listing document. And then from here, you can select whatever form that you want to have pre-filled out. So in this case, let's just say we want to do, we'll do the commission agreement. So you'll just click on that and you'll click Use. So once you do that, it's going to actually pull up the document. And again, because these forms, because we're in this particular form template section and not in the personal section, all of the forms that you're going to pull in here are going to already have the boxes added. So again, this is a section where you can add in that information if you want it to save, for future use. So in this case, perfect example, let's say this is going to be the template that you save for listing. So in that case, let's say you want to list in the listing broker information. So let's just say, we'll fill this part out. Let's see. Okay, and let's see. Okay, so this is just one example. Again, there's not a whole lot on this particular document that you're going to necessarily want to have saved for future use, but a good example, let's say this is something that you will use. Let's say you'll have this filled out for the rest of the for the rest of, you will continue to use this form for all of your future listings. So let's say we go ahead and fill this out. You can obviously fill it out just like we did. You can also change the name of the document up here as well. So in this case, to make it easy, let's just say, I'm going to use this as an example. Today's the 27th? Yeah, 27th. Okay. So I'm going to rename that document. I filled out the information that I want to fill out. And then I'm just going to hit save and close. Okay, you'll see here it is right here. Here's the name, the template name. It'll tell you what the original form was. So in this case, it was the listing agreement. It'll tell you when it was updated, and then it'll allow you to either edit, copy it, or delete it. Okay. So essentially, what we just did is created a form template. As I was mentioning before, and I will go ahead and show this as an example as well, if it is a different type of form, if it's, let's say, a form that isn't currently in the form templates library, maybe it's one from your computer or something along those lines, You can also manually add in forms as well. That's what I was getting to with the personal section. In order to do that, that's where you would go ahead. You can click the button that says add, and you can pull in any files that you have on your computer. So in this case, let me just pull in something I have. Let's do, I don't know, let's say I'm just going to pull in this letterhead form. Very similar to what we just did. You can then click into that document. You'll be able to see what it is. And in this case, you won't be able to add in any of the information just yet, like we did in form templates. You will be able to do that at kind of the next step. But I wanted to drop this in here because I'll show you both examples when we get to that next step. Any questions so far? Let me take a pause here because I know I covered a couple things. Again, this is kind of DocuSign 2.0, but it's something I wanted to let people know that you'll have the ability to do. Okay. All right. So again, if you add in a template, either a form template or a personal template like we just did, you will go ahead and upload and fill in any of that information that you want. Now, the way that you're essentially going to use them is we're going to go back into rooms. We're going to go to our rooms. And as an example, I'm just going to open up one of the rooms that I've already created. So since this was a listing, let's just say I'll select a listing one. So here's a test one that I have right here. Again, it shows a listing. So I'll just click into that one as an example. So the way you would be able to use and send off those templates that we just created, essentially, you won't take any action on them until you're ready to send them off for a signature or send them off to be viewed or something like that. So unlike other times where we might go into the document section, work on some of those documents, let's say we're ready to go, we're ready to send everything off to our client. Again, whether you're sending it for signature or just to view them, that gets sent out the same way. So in that case, we clicked into our room, and I'm going to go to envelopes. Okay, so this particular example looks like I haven't sent anything for signature yet. So we'll go ahead and we'll create a new envelope. And so for those of you who have attended some of these classes before, this should look pretty familiar. This is kind of that setting it up to send off for signature. So that's where you have your envelope name, where you can add in those documents to send, where you can add in those recipients, and ultimately send a message off to your client. So for this example, let's say, of course, we can add in any of the room docs that we have already. But let's say we want to use one of those templates that we just created. So when you get to this point where you add those documents for signature, you'll see that it gives you the option to use a template. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And hold on one second. Might be because the room, let me select a different room actually. Let's try this one. Bear with me for 1 second, everyone. kind of at a loss as to why this isn't appearing. Okay. Just try one more thing, everyone. Sorry for the glitch. Just give it 1 second here. Let me see if it pulls up. Okay. All right, that should be out of all the times for it to not appear, it should appear there as use a template. And then essentially what it would do is it would pull up that document that we had. So again, whether we uploaded it manually or we used a form template, it would just allow you to select use a template. And then those options should come up. And then essentially what it would do is it would just drop that document into your envelope here. And then much like you do with any of the other documents, when it comes time, you would obviously select the documents that you want to send off either to the client to view or to sign. You would add them to the envelope just like we do, with any other time with sending that paperwork. And then you would basically hit next. That would take you into those documents. And then once you get to that screen, you can add in any last minute information that you need to. You can add in any additional text boxes or anything like that. But what it'll do is when you get to that point and you view that document, that information that we plugged into that template will appear there every time. So the idea behind the templates is that you can pre-fill some of this information with whatever you want to include, and it'll save you the trouble of having to input that information every single time. Which it can be used for a variety of ways, whether again it is for something like a listing, the listing commission form, or a document that you upload, anything like that. Essentially, we should just be able to click use the template, go through the process like we would for all the other documents, and then send it off for signature. Although I wish this worked the way I had planned on it. I'm not entirely too concerned because again, this is something a little more DocuSign 2.0, but I did want to tell people that you will have the ability to do that to save the time. All it takes is a little bit of setup on your part to go into those documents, fill out whatever information you want saved. So again, unfortunately, I wanted to carry this all the way through, but for whatever reason, it's not pulling in that template. I will cover a class on this though, again, once we are up and running, and we'll walk through it in a bit more detail. Having said that though, let me stop my screen so I can see you guys. Is there anything else you want me to cover? Any other questions at the moment? Anything at all related to DocuSign? Okay. All right. So again, I wanted to keep today's class short. Unfortunately, because it didn't take me to that last part, it was even shorter. But again, this is a little advanced, so I'm not too concerned. But in that case, thank you guys for jumping on. Most of the forms have now been uploaded into DocuSign. There are a few little last minute ones that I'm working on now. So the goal is going to be starting in November. So probably starting by next week, I'll be sending out an email to everyone, encouraging everyone to start using DocuSign for their transactions, start getting comfortable with it, really having people play around in it. And then from there, again, I'm sure there's going to be some little kinks that we'll have to work through along the way. But at this point, everything should, most everything should be in there. So the more you kind of start to practice it, the more comfortable you'll get with it. So if you guys have any questions in the meantime, let me know. And if you are available and around today, we are still going to be doing the corn maze. I don't know how muddy it's going to be. If you can't attend that, we're going to be doing happy hour from 3 to 6 at in Chester. Again, kind of just a little social event. So if you can make it, definitely drop by. Okay. All right. Then I will talk to you all later. Have a good one. Thanks for jumping on.